Hello and welcome to the Book Pharm podcast, a book club podcast started by two very bored pharmacy technicians looking for a hobby. Thanks for tuning in and let's get started.
We're back again! Although this time we're actually going to be punctual, posting every week.
I know, right? It feels like I finally got something accomplished.
Yeah. So,
So,
I feel
as
like
we
maybe.
stated,
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I feel like
Okay,
maybe we should maybe hopefully my air conditioner doesn't make ruin this audio, but um I feel like maybe we should address the fact that last episode my cat fountain made its debut on our podcast. Uh This week, it will not. I turned it off, so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
this week it'll be the air conditioner.
Yeah, this week, it'll be a different problem. That's my life. So,
Slowly unfurls around you.
yeah, so great. My fault for sitting right next to the air conditioner.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so last week's episode, I drew like some new little characters for us and kind of tested out some sort of little animation kind of thingy. But this week should be much better because now we've been able to troubleshoot it.
Yeah,
So,
we got over that hump of not doing it for a year and a half. So, we're
yeah.
we're doing better. We're getting the feel of it.
Yes. All
So
right.
we
So, last week, we decided that we were going to go through the prologue all the way through chapter 7 of Wings of Starlight by Allison Sapp. I will say it's pretty good so far.
Yes, I'm actually very impressed. And that might be because I read a book lately that I hated. I thought the writing was trash. And so this is good. I really like the writing. I think she's doing a really good job. So,
I think it's nice. I think that for it being basically like a Disney sort of fan fiction esque kind of thing, I think it's really really good. And
yeah.
I've read a lot of fan fiction, so I'm very qualified.
Yes, she is a fan fiction uh connoisseur.
Connoisseur.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of words. All right, so characters we've met so far. We've got Princess Clarion, because she's not quite queen yet. She's queen in training. You know, our female main character, she's heir to the Pixie Hollow throne.
Yes.
Queen Elvina, I believe is how you say her name, is Clarion's mentor and predecessor. So she's the one who's training Clarion. She's kind of cold. She's very,
To the point,
yeah.
very much about her business. But yeah, so the book kind of leads us to what is happening before Clarion's coronation.
Hmm. Which is
So
in
that's
one
why,
month.
yeah, it's in 1 month. So she's not quite queen yet.
Yeah. We have Petra, who is Clarion's best friend. She's a tinker fairy that I believe works for the Pixie Hollow Crown.
Yeah,
And
she's like the designated tinker engineer fairy.
yeah. And we have Artemis, who is a scout fairy, and she's Clarion's protector slash guard.
Hmm.
And we have our ministers of the seasons. We have Rowan, who is the minister of autumn. Aurelia, I think is how you
Hmm.
say the
Aurelia,
minister.
she's the minister of summer.
Yeah. Iris, the minister of spring. Um, and of course they don't have winter because they have like, they're not
They have beef
they're
with
they
winter.
have beef. Yeah, they're feuding. Um, and
Yeah,
it's mentioned later on Queen Titania, I believe is how you
I
say
think
her
that's
name.
how you say it.
Yeah. And she was the first queen of Pixie Hollow. She's mentioned throughout these first , and captain of the Scouts Nightshade. And of course, we meet Mallory later on as well, who is the present warden of the Winter Woods.
Yes. Okay, so before we move on, I'm curious. Whenever I read, I usually have like a cast of characters, at least for the FMC and the MMC.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, who are you picturing as Clarion and Mallory?
So for me, I don't really cast real people. I love to look at fan art, okay? I like to look at the fan art. And so I pick my favorites. And I think I'll send you the picture if you want. And I wonder if I can
Yeah.
find the artists so that way it's not like we freaking stole their art, but I liked this picture. I don't know if you could see. It's basically just how they look. But like I like this one too. I don't know if you could see, but
Yeah, send those to me. Insert pictures here.
yeah, we will
Editing
insert them.
Rebecca will
Yeah,
insert them.
yeah. I it just helps me to imagine like drawings. I guess my brain always likes to use fan art. I have a whole Pinterest board just full of art people have made for books I'm reading. So,
Real.
and who are you casting, Rebecca?
Okay, so I am actually the complete opposite. Um, I can't really dig animated characters in my brain, but
Yeah.
also whenever I read, if I really go based off personality and like who would I expect to see playing them in a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if that means that I have to rewrite in my brain that the character's hair is black instead of white, then that's just what has to happen.
Right.
So, like at the start of any book I read, like it can say that the female lead has like blonde hair, and if I'm feeling that it's, I don't know, Elizabeth Olsen, no, I'll read that she has brown hair. So,
Right.
let me share with you. So, Queen Clarion, okay, golden, beautiful
Mm-hmm.
Queen Clarion. Let me find let me find a good picture. Hold on.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yes, you
Not
should
really, because
be.
that would be uncomfortable.
I am picturing
Not literally, but
Florence Pugh.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
So cute, right? And
Yeah.
then here comes my Lord Mallory.
I'm so
He does
ready.
not have white hair, but he is ripped.
Let's go.
But I am picturing uh hold on. Let me find a really good picture. I'm picturing Adam Driver
Okay.
with his
Okay.
big nose and everything. He's so
Okay.
tall. He's like so I'm warden of the Winter Woods.
I can see that. I can actually see that for sure.
So I was very excited to share that with you.
Oh yeah.
That's who I'm picturing.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm
I can
choosing
see
to
that.
believe that the white hair is due to old age in the Tinkerbell movies. Okay, that's
Okay.
my belief.
Alrighty. Sounds about right. It could, I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it
it's
says in the
totally
book
real.
that they live for centuries, so
Yeah.
what do we don't know. So, how old he is in the movie. Who
All
made
right.
this?
So with our cast of characters kind of out of the way, what we kind of wanted to do, I guess, was go chapter by chapter and see any sort of things that like stick out to us.
Yeah, noteworthy points. Um Chapter 1 for me, there's a lot. I mean, the prologue, it talks about how it's just setting the scene, kind of mentions that
Yeah.
a monster has been awakened from the winter woods. Um, Chapter 1, I an important point I learned was that the governing talent fairies are born from fallen stars rather than
Yeah.
babies' first laughs. I
Yeah.
thought that was
There's
pretty interesting.
actually so many different talents other than like what we see in the Tinkerbell movies. There's so many different ones.
Yeah,
But
there's like
yeah, so
they called it like
there-
the dying
dye
talents.
talent, woodworking talent,
Yeah,
all these
leaf
kind of different things.
talents. Yeah.
But basically, so chapter one's just kind of getting us acquainted with like Queen Clarion. She's basically in the woods. I think she's like sitting on a tree and
Yeah,
this
she was.
bee like
Yeah.
gets hurt and falls and she chooses to help the bee. And then the animal talent fairy comes and takes the bee away and kind of like is very, very nervous around Queen Clarion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, she not at first, but then once the Minister of Summer shows up and calls
Aurelia.
her by her name, the animal talent fairy kind of freaks out. But basically, it kind of to me, the first chapter, like I can already tell, she's kind of honestly like Tinkerbell was in the first movie, where she's like, "Man, is this really my talent or like what? Because I'm kind of miserable right now."
Yeah.
But again, these types of fairies, the governing talents, they're only born like every 500 years or something. Like they're a very, very low commodity kind of fairy.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have anybody, it's not like you have an entire group of people that are all governing talents. Like it's literally just you and then whoever is before you.
Yep. Yeah. And that that animal talent fairy, she was just intimidated because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I treated the queen like not with the utmost respect, just like as if she
Mm-hmm.
were my peer," and she felt like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to." And that's probably because Queen Elvina is very like, "You're supposed to treat me with the utmost respect," whereas Clarion kind of wants people to be her friends and be like, "Oh, I care about you. You don't have to, you know, be on your guard all the time in front of me." In chapter 2, we learn that, the governing talent fairies magic um, includes like teleportation and producing and emanating light, which is from like the star that they're born from. But it's hard for Clarion to, she like can't really harness any of her magic because of her unbridled emotion. She feels a lot of things, and Queen Elvina, who's teaching her, is like, "You need to calm down and focus." And Clarion is young. She she gets a little. Her emotions are really high.
Yeah,
Um,
to me it seems like Queen Elvina is very, very like set in her ways. She's very like she doesn't
Stoic.
show emotion, very, very stoic. Yeah. And she's basically trying to teach Clarion to be the same, but Clarion's also having like immense doubts about can she do this? Can she
Mm-hmm.
not? And that kind of mixes into, you know, it just kind of makes it hard, especially whenever her coronation is 1 month away. Like she's
Yes.
supposed to become queen in 1 month.
Mm-hmm. So she hasn't been able to really teleport or use her magic. Um, and she's supposed to be queen in like less than 30 days.
Yeah.
So that's something that's bothering her. Um, I just hit
And
my
then
mic. I hope it didn't do anything.
no, you're okay. Um, this basically, so chapter 2, if I remember correctly, is basically where Queen Elvina tells Queen Clarion that she's going to be leading the next like meeting regarding the change of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not only can she not harness her magic, but now she's got to give a presentation to
Yeah.
all the all the ministers of all the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stinks. And then chapter 3. So, chapter 3 kind of leads us into the next day where so along the first two chapters, she kind of talks about Artemis, her guard, and she's a
Yes.
scout fairy, and other scout fairies basically they get to go out and fight things and do this and that. Well, Artemis doesn't. Artemis literally is like stuck like glue to the queen or to the princess,
Yeah, Clarion.
and stuff like that. So in chapter 3, we kind of learn a little bit more about the conflict between the winter woods and the warm seasons. Queen Titania and then the first winter warden had
Mm-hmm.
this disagreement, um, and the warden of Winterwoods is kind of painted as like a bad guy, like
Mm-hmm.
he has some sort of darkness about him or something like that.
Yeah. And while Clarion's running her first council meeting, they're interrupted by a scout talent fairy. She just like barrels in, right? And she tells them, "Hey, we spotted a monster. It just crossed in from the winter woods." And she's like, "It kind of looks like a fox, but it's not a fox. It has like this glow or a shadow." And she's like, I we've never seen it before. It looks bad." Um, Queen Elvina immediately takes over Clarion's little council meeting and orders that every fairy take shelter immediately, forbids everyone in the palace from leaving, including Clarion. Clarion actually ends up getting sent to her room
Yeah. I also wanted
because.
to throw in that so the reason I mentioned that Artemis is like a scout fairy is because there's like one moment that really stuck out to me where basically like the scout fairy comes in and tells them about like the monster, right? And then Artemis tries like her hand goes down for her sword, and she's like, basically like I want to help, and then Queen Elvina shuts her down. Like your one purpose is to just stick with Clarion.
Yep.
And it just kind of sucks because you can tell that, she's a scout fairy, but she doesn't get to do what all the other scout fairies get to do. Like she doesn't get to help in any sort of way other than protecting the future queen of Pixie Hollow.
Yeah, and Clarion feels bad for her um most of the time, yeah.
But yeah, so she gets sent to her room, and
Because
then
Clarion wanted to help Queen Elvina, right? And she was like, "Hey,
mhm,
I can help." And Queen Elvina was like, "No, you cannot." And she was like, but," and then Queen Elvina's like, "Go to your room." She basically gets grounded for wanting to help.
yeah,
Um, and then Clarion, who's now hurt, confused, she's fueled with this indignation, and she sneaks out that night. Smart idea, right? She heads for the border between winter and spring, searching for that monster.
yeah. And so with all these different borders, so all the seasons are connected.
Mm-hmm.
So as we go into chapter 4 and she's, taking this venture out to the border between spring and winter, we actually find out that there is more than one border and everything is connected by the Pixie Hollow tree roots that have somehow some way grown in that pattern. Even though fairies don't really need them, they don't really walk.
Mm-hmm.
but some sort of tree root has branched over to basically every single season. Everything is connected.
Hmm.
And so that's what makes me kind of wonder in the Tinkerbell movies, we only really just see that one
Yeah.
in fall and winter. So I wonder if that is going to have anything to do with what we've read so far.
Yeah. The pixie dust tree's roots, they bridge every season. They say they like are veins flowing pixie dust into every territory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when Clarion arrives at the border, you'll never guess who she meets. I'll give
A
you one.
sparrow man.
A sparrow man, which is a male fairy. I did not know that. I had to Google it. Maybe I'm just a poser, but that who
I
doesn't know
didn't
anything
know
about
that either.
fairies?
Yeah, so this sparrow man is Mallory, and
Yep.
man is he cute.
Yep. Clarion clearly is attracted to him, at least subconsciously. Like as the reader,
Oh, yeah.
as the reader, we know Clarion's like, ooh, hottie.
Yeah, there's one point where it says like she hated the fact that she has to look up to meet his gaze.
Yep. I was like, girl, no, you don't.
I was like, girl, tell me more, please. So basically, Mallory he says his name's Mallory and he requests for the Warden of Winter to have an audience with the Queen.
Yeah.
And not Queen Clarion, but Clarion was basically like, well, I don't know if she'll do that, but I can relay the message. And he's like, well, it seems to me that I already have a queen here.
Hmm.
And she's like, yeah, so how would you like to meet with me? And he's like, how about here and now? And then I'm like, wait a minute. Can it be?
Yeah.
He's the Warden of Winter.
Yep.
And he basically is like, he's at the edge of the border.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you'll need to come closer.
Yeah. And Clarion's like,
She's like, okay, begrudgingly, but not really.
right. Exactly. Uh, they have a little bit of banter, of course. They kind of argue with each other. Um, which, everybody
There
kind
ain't
of
nothing
likes that.
wrong with little enemies to lovers. But
Yeah, exactly. Um, so Mallory tells Clarion that he came to the border to warm the warm seasons of a monster that got loose and crossed into spring. Clarion tells him, "Hey, too late of a warning, bro. It's
yeah, like
already
you're late to the
here."
party.
Yeah. And then Mallory's like very concerned about this, and she's like, "Oh." She gets a little bit like, "Oh, this is really bad," which is interesting. Uh, that Clarion's character didn't already think it was. Like, maybe she didn't think he would care. I think maybe that's what it was. She didn't
Yeah,
think that he would
so
care.
I think that this kind of stereotype has been put on to winter, or at least the winter fairies,
Mm-hmm.
is like their land is like desolate. The next
Right.
point we have is like basically Clarion blames the winter fairies for not being able to leash their beasts, is what she says.
Yes.
So like there's like a common consensus that like the winter fairies deal with monsters like this all the time because that's all that lives there.
Mm-hmm.
Which like we know from seeing the Tinkerbell movies, like that's completely false.
Right.
But basically Clarion is like, you don't ever want to collaborate with us, and well, Mallory actually is like expressing that he wants to work together to solve the problem instead of ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he basically says like your predecessor has not been telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Drops that bomb, And then he's like, yeah, deuces. Let's meet again tomorrow morning. And she's like, well, I can't because literally, basically, I had to like sneak out to be here, bro.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, he offers a little smirk, as the book says. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, well, I'll be here every sunset for the next week. You
Hmm.
know where I'll be.
Yeah. If you want to solve this problem with me and work together, I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Yeah. And Clarion's like,
She's like, I don't care. No, for real. I'm gonna be here tomorrow at sunset.
yeah.
Like, she's trying to be so cool, but I'm a girl. Like, I know what you're thinking, Clarion.
Yeah. So at that's the end of chapter 4, and then at the start of chapter 5, Clarion decides she's still going to try to go find that monster. She's kind of naive to do that. And she doesn't really search thoroughly. It's more like a passive kind of flies over the territory and looks for a shadow. Um
Mm-hmm.
but as she passes by the where the Tinkers live, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go visit my friend in the dead of night."
Yeah, I'm gonna go see Petra and see how she's doing because I guess Petra's like an anxiety-ridden person.
Hashtag relate.
So so she basically knocks on Petra's door, and Petra's like, "What are you doing here? And what secret are you keeping right now, girl?"
Exactly. Petra's like, "Oh, great. What kind of trouble have you gotten yourself into this time? And you're dragging
And
me into it."
she's like, nothing. And then Petra's like, oh, that means it's really bad.
Yeah. um, we
But
we learn that Clarion's kind of wistful. She definitely misses simpler times when she was able to just hang out with Queen Clarion, not Queen Clarion, hang out with Petra, uh, and just have fun.
mm-hmm.
But eventually, she returns to the palace and is confronted by Queen Elvina. She thought
Wait.
Clarion.
Before we move on, I
Yeah.
just wanted to point out. So when she's talking with Petra, she's like teetering on the idea of telling Petra like what's up. But then there's like one
Oh
specific
yeah.
line where it's like, it's here that I realize what Elvina says is correct. Like, you have to burden, as a governed talent fairy, you have to take your own burdens and deal with them by yourself. You cannot subject your
Yes.
subjects to it.
Yes. And yes, that's true. Clarion is like it's slowly processing to her like, oh. And she hates feeling that like divide between, her and her best friend now that they're older. Um which ultimately led to her feeling wistful about simpler times. Um, but yeah, when she returns back to the palace, she thought for a second that she might have gotten away without being caught, literally sneaking out when everybody was supposed to be taking shelter, away, not going outside. Um, but no, Queen Elvina knew that she was missing, and Artemis got in trouble because Artemis didn't realize that she was missing either. Um, Clarion realizes that Queen Elvina is scared because she didn't originally think that Elvina was scared of this monster, really. Um, and she doesn't, and Queen Elvina isn't really scared of the monster necessarily, but of losing Clarion. But
Yeah.
Clarion doesn't really understand why because she thinks she's like, well, if I'm gone, another fairy will eventually arrive and they'll probably be better suited to be the next queen
Yeah.
anyway.
But the problem with that is that literally these fairies do not come around except for like every 500 years.
Yeah, it takes a long time. And I have a theory. All right, I have a theory. I have a theory that shortly after the fairies are like a new governing talent fairy is born, like a star crashes and they're born out of it. I think that's like also a signal saying that the former queen is going to die soon. I don't know if fairies
Yeah.
die, but that is my theory. I think because Clarion mentions when Elvina helped her out of the crater, the star left, Elvina seemed sad, and she didn't understand why. And so I wondered if maybe that means that Elvina is a little bit stressed because she's gonna die soon, maybe, and
Yeah.
Clarion
I
is
mean they're
clearly not
fairies.
ready.
They don't retire.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think Elvina's gonna die.
yeah. um. Ultimately, Clarion at this point decides she's not going to meet with Mallory, but what he says continues to haunt her. She begins to consider that Queen Elvina could very well be keeping things about the Winterwoods from her. Um, so she's, processing that information. She's conflicted.
So, leading into chapter 6, the next day, Queen Elvina basically is like, you're going to shadow the Minister of Autumn. You're going to shadow Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be useful for you to see how the transitions go from summer to autumn. So, it starts out where she's like, "Man, I'm beat. Like I was up so late last night. I hope I haven't been dragging today."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, like you're doing well." And they kind of get him and Clarion kind of get on this kick of talking about like, how does Queen Elvina know that all this stuff, all this preparation is correct and will suffice? And he basically answers her with like, "Oh, it's just her intuition." And
Yeah.
she's like, "No way, bro.
Yeah.
No way." And he basically is like, "Well, you'll grow into your talents and you will learn that you have also good intuition, but at the same time, um I've been doing this for a long time."
Yeah.
Like she also trusts in an experienced minister. And so I'm wondering, how do these ministers fairies show up? Like, and how long do they stick around too? Because these are different ones than the ones we see in Tinkerbell, so they can't last as long as the governing fairies, but they must still be living for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like, are the ministers also governing talents? Or, and it's just the queen that's born from the star? Although, I don't
Well,
know.
I don't think they're governing talents, but I wonder if they're just like straight up like autumn talent, summer
Oh,
talent,
oh, maybe.
spring talent. Like,
That's a good, that's a good theory. I like that one.
but I also wonder if maybe they come around, but I don't know how they would be born. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know.
maybe we'll learn.
Yeah.
We are missing like information on winter, so maybe it'll come back around to that or not, and it'll be up to us. Um, But while they're preparing for autumn, oh yeah, Clarion has like renewed determination, to be the perfect queen in training. She's like, I am so sorry for last night and, sneaking out and being irresponsible. She's like, I'm just going to focus on being a perfect queen in training. And Artemis, of course, is keeping a closer eye on her since she got in trouble last night because she didn't notice that Clarion snuck out. And anyway, while they're talking, all of a sudden, a monster starts attacking the fairies. The very monster. But guess what? It doesn't look like a fox this time.
No, it's basically like this huge, like, black mass. And
Mhm.
it's taking the shape of a serpent this time. And what it kind of reminded me of was in Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one with Jack Frost.
yeah. And literally, like, the boogeyman, he, like, manipulates shadows. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. It's like it can take the shape of anything.
Yeah.
But basically, it describes it in a point where, like, whenever the mask or the serpent reaches the fairies, they, like, drop like flies.
Hmm.
And she sees it going for Rowan, and Artemis is like taking her away because she's like, well, what good is a queen if she's basically left to do nothing? And then Rowan says like, well, it's better than a dead one.
Yeah.
So Artemis is taking her away, and then she sees the snake going for Rowan, and basically at this point, boom, she reaches her hand out, magic, hits the
Yeah.
serpent. Serpent is in pain. It's
Yeah.
literally burned the skin like off the serpent. And
Hmm.
she goes back down there to try and be like, boss woman.
Yeah.
But basically she's just not advanced enough. Her magic's not that good. And while
Right.
it did do some damage, it took a lot out of her. And so Artemis basically saves her and brings her, away from the venom shooting, and the serpent goes away, which is probably really good because while the fairies don't die because of the venom, they're basically put in this like paralysis sleep state. Like they're still alive, but they're sleeping. Like they can't wake up.
Yes. They're like the black goo it spat at all the fairies, taking them down to the ground. Uh it like leaves them unconscious and like frozen in their terror. Um Clarion, after this encounter, as you know, Artemis takes her back to the palace, Clarion is left feeling like a failure because, fairies still hit the ground and uh is it Rowan or Rowan? I don't know how to say that name.
I don't know. I've just been saying it how my head's been reading it.
Right? Well, we'll have to figure it out. But Ro- uh he ended up getting hit and he became unconscious, and she Clarion begins to feel like Queen Elvina is right about her, that she should not be trusted right now. She's still young and feels too much, is what Clarion seems to believe about herself. Um,
And I believe that leads us into chapter 7.
that is correct. Ooh.
So she gets back to the castle and basically debriefs with Queen Elvina about what happened in the Autumn Forest. And it's
Mhm.
here when we find out that Elvina actually does know what these monsters are called. They're
Yep.
called nightmares. They do come
Hmm.
from the winter woods, but do they really? Because that's what I want to know. Do they really or not?
Right. Which is a good question. I was also, was wondering maybe, right, that, the first warden of the Winter Woods was mentioned previously, he was alluded to have like this dark shadow around him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if maybe he got mixed up in something that like cursed the Winterwoods, maybe, and created these nightmares, or these nightmares moved in to the Winterwoods.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's Queen Elvina is clearly biased against the Winterwoods, so she's gonna be like, oh yeah, they thrive on the cold and the shadows there. Um, so
But
there's
yeah,
that.
so whenever the nightmares hit the fairies,
Yeah.
Basically, it puts them in an endless slumber filled with their nightmares. Elvina basically says that their healing talent fairies are working on an antidote because 11 fairies have now fallen, including the Minister of Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
And Clarion's kind of like, well, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? Because now I'm unprepared. And Elvina's basically like, you can barely produce any magic, girl. Literally chill out. Uh, I don't
Which
need
is
to
kind of
distract
mean.
you. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of true. Like, I kind of get where Elvina is coming from. But at the same time, Elvina, you're not really dealing with the problem very productively, which is also
mm-hmm.
what Clarion is feeling.
So then Clarion decides, like, okay, you know what? Freak this. I am gonna go with Lord Mallory. Well, he's not Lord yet. He's just Mallory.
Right.
And Queen Elvina calls a giant assembly to all the residents of all the worm seasons. Basically formally announces what these things are called. She declares that there's a curfew, so they're more active at night. Nobody needs to be out past sunset. And she reveals that she has plans to basically destroy all of the bridges that connect winter to the warm seasons.
Yep.
So basically, isolate winter completely.
Mm-hmm.
This
And let them.
scares the crap out of Clarion.
Oh, yeah.
And Clarion basically goes to Petra and is like, yeah, nah, this is not happening.
Mm-hmm. And Petra's like, all right, well, do what you have to do, I guess. But I guess Petra's also kind of like, well, leave me out of it this time. But,
Yeah. All right.
but
So that's kind of where we end. And then we do have some questions. You want to pick like three of them? We'll
yeah,
go
I
through
can do
three
that.
of them.
So, Clarion often doubts her destiny as a governing talent fairy. Do you think this will make her a better leader or a worse leader than Queen Elvina?
I think that a certain level of doubt kind of keeps the idea that like my way or the highway, it keeps that out, which
It
I kind of
humbles.
feel like Elvina has. I think it will make her better because she also doubts a lot of like, I guess not really doubts, but she basically still sees like winter as her people.
Yeah, she
And I
does.
think I think a certain level of humiliation is good for governing Queen Clarion.
For sure. I agree.
Um
Although,
why
uh,
oh,
although I
I'm sorry.
agree, you're good. Although I do agree that I think Elvina prevents Clarion from feeling confident in herself a lot of times because they have starkly their views contrast each other quite
It
yeah and dramatically and in the fact that Elvina's like everything has to be like you said, she's very focused in on what she has to do. Everybody's going to listen to her, she's in control. And Clarion is someone, she has more of a, I guess, softer approach. She sees, she's like, well, she's like, let's figure this out together rather than, she's like, let's help each other. And Elvina's more like a solitary, like, I'm going to figure this out. It is my duty and we're going to execute, and I'm going to execute it, basically. And Clarion's
mhm.
like, well, we should get help from other people. We should work together with Winter. But uh, Elvina isn't going to do that. Um, Why do you think Queen Elvina decided on such a radical solution to the nightmares?
I think that coupled with like already the distaste for winter and then also like all the myths around winter, kind of what has become winter's history in a sense. I think that she's just thinking, like when people get infected, like it's better to cut the limb off than have it infect the entire body.
Yeah, I think Elvina does view it that way. I think she sees winter as this entity that it's too far gone. Like we can't fix it, I guess. And
Mhm.
Elvina would just feel better if she just did away with any ties, which quite literally is her ripping the roots or sawing away the roots that bridge the territories.
Mhm.
Um, Clarion mentions that she found the drama of the story of Queen Titania's Queen Titania's, drama with uh, the first warden of the Winter Woods, quote, terribly romantic. Do you think that Clarion romanticizes much of what goes around her? Do you think maybe she's just a
Oh,
little bit?
I think she's young, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Um, Especially when she met Mallory, for sure. But like she kind of romanticizes winter a lot. But I think it's good that she thinks about it. She doesn't automatically use Queen Elvina's view on the world to define the way she views the world.
Yeah. All right. I think that we're approaching our time limit on here.
Yes.
But
Um,
yeah, I like the book. It's doing
yeah,
pretty good.
very promising. I'm excited to see more of Mallory and Clarion's relationship. Clearly, that's why we're reading it. But um, uh, we'll
I'm
be
excited to see
reading.
him again. I'm ready.
Yes, yes, me too. We'll be reading chapters 8 all the way through 14. And I believe that's correct. That's seven more,
Hmm.
8 through 14. And then we will cover it next week. Next Monday,
Yep.
you guys will get to hear about it. Hear our thoughts. If you guys have any thoughts about the book, if you're reading along, if you want to add anything, feel free to comment. We're on Spotify as well as YouTube. So if you would rather just listen to it, we do post it on Spotify. Um,
Hmm.
on YouTube, we're the Book Farm 04 Farm with a PH for pharmacy. And on Spotify, it's just the Book Farm podcast.
Yeah, and we also have Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yes.
I know in our Instagram, I put it in the link section, the YouTube and the Spotify.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and link our Instagram down below.
Yes.
But
But
all
until
right,
then,
until then, we'll be slinging words and pills to pay the bills. And thank you for tuning in and listening and or watching.
bye.
Bye.